Hi everyone, welcome back to everyone. YouTube channel. It's Chris back with the Aftermath. This is the show that we do when the dust has settled from the post-match from Newcastle United's last performance, which happened to be a special 3-0 victory against the special one. With respect, I'll do the old ear cup in there. I'm going to get as many Joses in as I can. At St James's Park last night, I was not on post-match, as you probably recognise. It was Mark. He did a cracking job. Thank you so much for the support and love you guys showed him in the comments as well. But this is the Aftermath. This is where I live, and I'm doing this show right now, and I'm buzzing after that performance. It was a brilliant performance from Newcastle United, and it was a much-needed performance too after a really shaky performance against Brighton. And the season start has been a little bit up and down. Safe to say, I think we've been a little bit disappointed in terms of some of the performances. You know, some of the players look fatigued, they look tired by the international break. Players are flying all over the world, and it's just tires players out. And we definitely looked that way against Brighton, certainly in the shape of Joe Linton. Antonali, who, as it turns out, has an illness. You know, there's a lot of bad stuff going around. I think COVID has appeared back on the scene, whether you believe it or not. Technically, it is a bad cold, I suppose, not the one to play what happened a few years ago. But there's a lot of illnesses and bugs and shit like that going around. And Tonali has picked it up. And obviously, he was out of the starting 11. He was on the bench. He did look a little bit picky, a little bit ill, to be fair. He probably shouldn't have been on the bench, but we didn't need him because of the brilliant performance of a certain young Geordie I'm going to get into in a second. But if this is the kind of thing you guys like, smash like and subscribe before I get right into this. Keep it ever more. We're close to 12,000 subs. Really, really close. I've got an unbelievable prize when we get a 12K, and you can all be in it to win it. So smash that button. Recommend us to family and friends. They can be in it to win it. There's loads of chances. But we'll get stuck right into the game tonight. So this was a big performance from Newcastle United, and this was a big game as we're under the lights in the Champions League. Previously, since we've got back to the Champions League, you know, it's almost like we don't deserve to be there. People are like, oh, Newcastle are just there by fluke, you know, like some kind of competition winner from Breakfast TV, you know, that we're just honoured to be there. But last night, we looked like a Champions League team. We looked like we knew we belonged on that stage against Benfica. Now, Benfica, the biggest, bestest Champions League team? No, not really. But they're a European giant. They've won multiple competitions. They're a huge football club. They've been in Europe for God knows how many years consistently. They know how to perform in European competitions. And we beat them relatively easy, I would say, with not a great deal of threat, apart from the winger, who I think was it Lucky Bacchio, I think it was, Luca Bacchio, who hit the post with an absolute curler of a shot. Probably the only time Dan Burn got caught, and that was probably because Gordon didn't tuck in to give him enough support, which he did change in the first half. And we went 1-0 up. A brilliant goal. That pass, that Miggy pass is what I would call it. The Miggy pass, the Bruno Guimaraes passes to the right winger. That's where Anthony Elanga is not switching on. He's not focusing on his teammates, because that pass is always the first pass Bruno Guimaraes looks for. If the right winger positions himself well enough and makes that run, stays on side, Bruno will find you with a perfectly weighted pass, and that's what he did. I think maybe Elanga's too quick, possibly, or he's going too early and he's not getting in those positions. But it was a brilliant cross by Murphy, a good finish by Gordon, and that goal almost just relieved the pressure. I was in the crowd. There was some times where it was a little bit quiet, but I think that was the nerves, and you can't blame the fans because of the way the season's gone. But then we go on, the confidence grows, the goals flow. Harvey Barnes, man, what a performance from Harvey Barnes. Some of you may know I do the analysis thing. You rate players out of 100. I gave Barnes 100, right? You come off the bench and get 2 goals and play that well, you're going to get 100. You should have got a hat-trick, really. I thought he was fucking phenomenal when he come off the bench. I really do. And it's only going to make Anthony Elanga's job harder to justify his starting position, or even coming off the bench, if Barnes can play left or right. You know, I know sometimes he's been shit on the right, he's better on the left and all that, but Barnes just has this super sub tag on him. It's a bit unfair, I think, because he's such a good player, but he needs to do it when he starts games. But if he's going to come off the bench and bring that action and bring those goals, fuck it, make him the super sub, because we need impact players, and Barnes is a good impact player. But who I really want to talk about in terms of the performance, before I get into them, Malick Thiaw and Botman, again, back to the very, very best. Malick Thiaw's pace, absolutely brilliant. One of my highlights of the match was when Trippier tried to come across and take the ball off him. He just kind of shoved him out the way. He went, no, I've got this. You're all right, mate. Off you go. Off you go, Granda. I'm sorry, Trippier. I'm only joking. You're younger than me. Shoved him to the side. He just went off for the ball. Botman's class, imperious, positional sense was great. Great on the ball, strong. The two of them, if they can stay fit, stay focused, and stay on top of their game, honestly, those two could be up there with the best centre-half pair in the Premier League. You know, call us hyperbolic if you want. I generally think so. Pace, strength, positional, good on the ball, reading of the game. They've got every single aspect to be class, European class centre-halves. How they're not capped at countries, I'll fucking never know. You know, Holland, the Netherlands have got that guy who backs his arse and turns opposite direction, who's on the wane, and then Germany don't have that good a centre half. So how the fuck these two don't play? But it's okay because I'm glad they didn't go flying around the world and knackered like Joe Linton and Bruno were. But going back to the two big changes, obviously Murphy come back in. We know we'll get off Murphy, but the two big changes in the midfield. There was a big call by Eddie Howe. Dropping Joe Linton, who I said needed to be dropped. I said it on here. I said it on True Faith. I said it anywhere. Anyone listened to me. I said it to my cat. The cat didn't listen, but I still told him anyway. And Joe Linton needed to be dropped because the fatigue was there. You could see that. He wasn't impacting games like he used to do. Lewis Miley come in off the bench against Brighton and looked good. Got an assist, looked good. Last night, I thought Lewis Miley was fucking brilliant. I don't understand these people who seem to want this kid to fail. I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. You know, yes, the comparisons there with Elliot Anderson and Lewis Miley, right? But I'm telling you right now, you can clip this up. At 19 years old, Lewis Miley's a better player than Elliot Anderson was at 19 years old. Go back and watch Elliot Anderson at 19 years old. They're different players, but Lewis Miley is a better player. He's got 50-odd appearances for Newcastle. He's played massive games. And last night, he was playing like he's 26. That's probably Miley's biggest problem. He's 19. He's built like a fucking brick shithouse, and he plays like he's a 26-year-old 50-capped international. People forget he's a 19-year-old boy. He's 3 years older than my daughter who went to fucking high school this morning. Like, fuck me, come on, sort it out. Like, stop giving the lad a hard time. Give him praise where it's due. He grew into the game. He was excellent, you know, winning challenges, crunching into people. That one when he pressed high in the box, it was like Fabian Schär against Arsenal, you know, against Declan Rice to get that goal in the second leg. He was brilliant. Should have scored with a header. But that'll come. You'll have up and down moments. But the more minutes Miley gets, the better he'll play. And you can see when the second goal went in, he grew in confidence. He was popping little passes between him and Bruno. Him and Bruno linked up so well. Bruno was brilliant in the second half. He was on Samba Beach, little flicks and tricks on the chest, round players. Should have got a pen, in my opinion. I thought he was wiped out. You know, Bruno was excellent. That's the kind of game where Bruno thrives. I'm a Champions League midfielder. I'm the fucking man. Give me the ball. And he was brilliant. Nick Voltemada was class as well. Some of those touches, Berbatov-esque, you know, just sticks to the lad. People were getting around him. Gordon was getting around him. Barnes was getting around him. I think the third goal, it's Voltemada's flick to Gordon, then to Barnes, and it's a goal. Clinical finishes by Barnes. When Newcastle are at it like that, we can beat any team. Honestly, any team. Give us any team. St James's Park in particular. We could beat them playing like that. It's quick, fast-flowing, quick football, good touches, good passes, smart movement, good finishes. That can pick any team apart, and they were excellent last night. Big shout out to Jacob Ramsey as well. Jacob Ramsey come in, energy, drive, work rate, brilliant footballer. Doesn't waste a pass. I was watching him shooting before the game. I was in Melbourne. I was watching him shooting before the game. And honestly, every fucking shot Jacob Ramsey scored, bottom corner, top corner, bottom. Ramsdale couldn't get anywhere near it. Effortless. This kid gets in and around the box. He's getting goals for Newcastle. He could be a 10-goal a season player for Newcastle, Jacob Ramsey. Aston Villa fans, if you're in the comment, let me know if you agree with that or not. I think he's an excellent footballer. I know it's a soft point for you, same with us at Anderson, but he can be an excellent player. He just needs to stay fit, keep fit, stay in the picture. But honestly, the performance from the lads who came in was everything that we needed. It was confidence building. It showed the depth of squad. It also gives a kick up the arse to the likes of Joe Linton, to the likes of Elanga, hopefully, you know, to the likes of Tonali even, who's class. You know, fuck me, this kid's come in and he's been brilliant. I need to up my game. I can't come in and be half-arsed against Fulham. I need to fucking put it in. I need to do it. And competition for places always raises standards. It's no surprise that Nick Pope is playing some of the best football he's played at Newcastle because Ramsdale's there breathing down the back of his neck. He never thought that Dubravka would have outed him. This was a keeper, no matter how good Dubravka did when he come back, we flicked them out at Man United on loan at one point. So the threat of Dubravka taking Pope's space wasn't quite there, but Ramsdale is a threat to him. You know, he's a good shot stopper. He's good with his feet. He probably sees him every day in training, goes, fuck, this guy's good. I can't be shit. I need to be on top of my game. And that's what enhances people's performances on the pitch. You know, it's unfortunate the fullbacks are injured, but, you know, Trippier and Burn are currently in possession of those shirts because the two young ones are injured. When they get fit, they're going to want to come in and show Eddie how they should be starting. And if they get the shirt, they want to keep the shirt. So it's great to have competition for places, but not getting too carried away with this performance. This is a different level of performance to the USG game. No disrespect to USG. They're kind of championship level, mid-championship level, probably. You know, Benfica are a proper big European team. I know that the third in the Portuguese league is not a great standard league, but they've got good experienced players playing for them, a really experienced wiry manager, and you can see that the way his players were falling over, rolling every 10 minutes. That was Jose Mourinho tactics. But this needs to be a kicking point for Newcastle United to bring this back to the domestic league. We cannot do what we did previously, have a great performance against USG and then slip away, against Brighton. We can't do that. We have to get back into Premier League action on Saturday, and whoever's playing, whoever's starting, has to step up and has to deliver and has to play to that level. What I liked about the game as well, we didn't see the crazy, mad, mental press in the first half. It was measured, it was calmer, it was little simple passes between, midfield and defence and out wide and then back to midfield and defence. It was all simple kind of passing to draw Benfica out. And then we turned up the heat in the second half with the press, with the pressure. Gordon was released. He was just absolutely destroying fullbacks, and that's where Newcastle maybe have a tactical system tweak now that, people think we're going to press high. We just keep it nice and measured and calm. But by changing the midfield, it gives you that. And that's what I think Lewis Miley gives you. I know somebody in the comments going, oh, Chris is talking about Lewis Miley again. I am talking about Lewis Miley because he's a great young player and he was excellent last night and he deserves the credit. But I think because he's so calm on the ball compared to Joe Linton. Now, Joe Linton has his strengths, physicality, speed. He's quicker than Lewis Miley. He can get in the attacking third. He can be a threat aerially as well. But what Lewis Miley does bring at that midfield is that calmness, composure, and ability to use the ball well. He doesn't waste a pass, the young boy. And that bounces off with Bruno Guimaraes really well. And Sandro Tonali, when he comes back, I think them as a three midfield, I think could be unbelievable against a low blocking side. And Fulham will do that. Fulham will come to St James's Park on Saturday. I'm there again on Saturday, so you'll have Mark again on post-match. You give him some love again, guys. But they will sit in and they will say to Newcastle, what you got, right? If Newcastle have this patient passing midfield where Fulham almost go, shit, we need to come out and try and get the ball back off them. They're not moving. Let's push out. And then the gaps appear. That's when you hit the wide players, the Gordons, the Murphys, Baltimore's through the middle, hold it on and find that space. Lovely touches from Big Nick tonight. I wouldn't swap him for that shithouse in Liverpool. What's his name again? I totally forgot. But that's what we need to do against Fulham as well. We need to take this performance into Fulham. But the lads should be buoyed by that performance. All of them, every single one of them. The squad as a whole, they should see it as a challenge and say, fuck me. Lewis Miley played class. Ramsey played class. I'm a midfielder. I want my spot back. I'm going to show what I can do in training. And then I'm going to show what I can do if I get the nod for the game and I want to keep my shirt. And that's what these players need to do. And I was really buzzing with the performance. I really, really was. It was what we needed as a football club. The Premier League form has been very iffy. The Champions League, we almost look like we're more experienced. When we first got back in Champions League, we were running around like a little excited puppy dog, humping anything that moved. We're not quite a wily old dog yet. We're kind of in the middle. We're kind of the puppy that stopped pissing on the carpet and shitting in your shoes, and we're kind of understanding the lay of the land a little bit more. We know what to do when we want biscuits and we want to go for walkies and that kind of shit. I'm not really a dog person. I'm a cat person, but you get my analogy. But that's kind of our development as a football club, But to see players like Jacob, Ramsey and Miley coming in a big game, in a big Champions League game like that and performing. They both have experience in the Champions League. That's the best thing about it. Both of those players are under 25 and they've both got Champions League experience, with Villa, with Ramsey more than us, and Miley with us. And it shows if your squad depth can have the Champions League and European experiences, you don't look overawed. You don't look out of your depth in those competitions. And we didn't last night. We looked excellent. Mourinho had said that the crowd was a little bit quiet in his post-match comments. I think it was that nervousness because we thought, shit, is that going to happen again? But then after the game, fair play to Jose Mourinho, who I've got a lot of time for, he said that Newcastle were levels above Benfica. We were levels above Benfica. But when we turned up that intensity, we blew them away. They couldn't get anywhere near us. Big shout out to Dan Burn as well at left back. I thought Dan Burn had a really good game at left back. He uses physicality well. He didn't get caught out there. Right winger looked really dangerous as a Luque Bacalhau. Very, very good player. Pace, dangerous. That shot was incredible as well. Kind of shots deserving of a goal. Thank fuck it didn't go in though. But I thought Burn recovered really, really well. I thought he didn't look as kind of rattled as he did against Brighton in the second half, when Minter a couple of times did dip him and go around him and make him look a bit stupid. So that was good from Burn as well to see. And Trippier had a steady game at right back as well. Centre halves were class. Midfield was good. The rotation was healthy for the squad. Brought energy, brought composure. Big Nick was class. He was flagging a little bit towards the end. That's my only worry about playing Big Nick so much, because we don't have anybody else on the bench. I mean, if Barnes is coming back to form, and I hate this happening, but if Barnes is coming back to goal scoring form, maybe in games you're taking Big Nick off, put Gordon through the middle, Barnes on the left. Maybe if Barnes is back in his goal scoring groove, that could maybe work, you know. But Wissa should be back hopefully in the next kind of 5-6 weeks, I think. Probably, I think towards the Brentford game is a more realistic target for him. But we don't want to burn Big Nick out too much, but some of the touches last night were just utter filth from the big German. He was absolutely class. But I'm buzzing. It was a great performance. As I say, it's something that we need to carry on, though, into Fulham. We can't just get excited about Benfica, even though we're above Real Madrid and Barcelona in Champions League, by the way. So any of the Mackems giving you shit about being above in the Premier League, just clip that Champions League table and send them that, by the way. And that's where we are. That's where we are. But it's good performance, but it has to continue. It has to come back to domestic football, in my opinion. But let me know in the comments below what you guys thought about the performance, what you thought about Lewis Miley, what you thought about Jacob Ramsey, what you thought about, you know, Gordon showing up, Barnes back on form. What was your highlight of the game? And just to get to the point on Lewis Miley again, you know, I'm not going to rattle on too much about this, but I don't understand what some of the fans want from this kid. He's not Gascoigne, he's not Bellingham, he's not Foden. You know, I don't know if he knows what he is or how knows what he is. After the game, he said he can play in multiple kind of positions. He gives flexibility and, you know, in the midfield, but he looked much better in the 6, I felt, than he maybe does in the 8, but then he did some good stuff going forward. So where do you see Lewis Miley? Is he better in the 6, being cover for Tonali, or playing alongside him in a double pivot, which I would like to see with Bruno a bit further up? Or do you think he's a box-to-box midfielder? And do you understand all the abuse that he gets? Because I don't. I generally don't get it, guys. I really, really don't. I don't think any genuine Newcastle fan wants this kid to fail. But this is the problem we have with academy players, is that when they come through, we almost expect too much of them. And I don't understand why we can't just be happy for this kid and give him his flowers and say he played really, really well. I thought he was excellent, as was Jacob Ramsey as well. So this ain't the Louis Miley show. Jacob Ramsey was class. Jacob Murphy was class. Big Nick Botman was class. Gordon was mint. Barnes was class. Everyone was class. Fucking loved it. But thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe. Keep it evermore. Gets close to the 12K mark. Mark will be back on post-match duties for Fulham. I will be back to do the preview, and any opinion videos or any little rumour videos we may have in between, I will be back to do those as well. But thanks for watching, guys. Have a belt a day. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you later. Cheers.
Heroes celebrate. They have done it.